Hey all, Sir Penguin here, and we are looking at another replay review. Here, Superkaku has requested a replay review of a team game playing Delhi we're on Rocky River here in a 3v3. Now, Superkaku just told me recently that they're feeling hard stuck in Gold 2 on the ranked ladder, and I get it. Gold is really, really hard to crawl out of because that's where most of the players are, and so there's a ton of players here in Gold, right on that wall, like that gap between Gold and Platinum. Now, this opening so far looks great. Nice classic Delhi opening. As soon as this gets up, you want to make sure you're getting your techs because they're free. So just immediately queue your techs. First thing. And nicely, I mean, we don't have the best sort of up top setup because it's a team game, but with the cast, we'll get the cast review. I see. So we get it now. That's fine. That's still a fine timing. Just, you know, the earlier the better because that wheelbarrow starts paying off quick the earlier you get. Yeah, it takes a while to remember because with Delhi, you just get everything. Just queue up all of your techs, every single one, because they're free. And you've got the right order here. Yeah, everything looks good. We're in the correct order of the techs. We got the mining camp coming up, and here's our numbers. I think 9 is a little too much early on the food. You want to start with 8 and then go 3 on the gold. Or nowadays, you go 6, 2 on the gold, and then queue to food until you get to 9. But the easiest way is to get 8 on berries and then 3 on gold. This is going to delay your age up by a little bit, just because you have more food than you will have gold. Let's see what's going on here with the rest of the game. So your teammates are going to be yellow and red. We are looking at Famed Poet in the red below you. Famed Poet's playing as England. And another teammate here going up with the Chamber of Commerce, Karmar in the yellow. This is kind of a meme. This isn't really in the meta. There's a lot of vills on it, so it's a little funky. We'll see what happens here. Yeah, and in team games, everything looks pretty okay here so far. In team games, you know, we also have to rely on our teammates a little bit, but we have to be self-sufficient. So I'm not going to judge the teammate stuff too much here. And yeah, like I said, this is quite a few seconds too late. We're about 30 seconds too late here with the age up, and it's because of the 9 on the food before getting gold. It really should, the split really should be 8, 3, and then queue to berries until you age up. Or something along those lines. Poking away at the scout, nice. Got a little lucky here that he didn't put all of the villagers in the TC. So while the age up is coming, and we do have a Tower of Victory, that's pretty standard. I'm liking it, I'm digging it. And we still got the 3 on gold, that's nice. I'm gonna be nitpicky here, especially because I'm a Delhi player, so I'll try to not like over nitpick here. But so on the other side of the map, on Team 1, that is, we got Mist Femin in purple playing the Roost. In pink, Morminder playing England. And just above there in the teal, Ottomans. And that's going to be Shut Cake. Now, Ottomans are not the easiest matchup for Delhi. Delhi is probably in a better spot than some civs against Ottomans, especially with early aggression. But this isn't going to be easy. I can already see, like, they've already got the Imperial School out. This player needs to put this next to the TC. This is a waste next to the berries because your villagers are going to gather these berries instead of being on the thing. But that's not what we're focusing on here. So I'm thinking of the splits here, and you've got plenty of food, right? Like, this is plenty of food. The thing is, it's actually too much food. When you're aging up to feudal, especially as Delhi, you're gonna need a lot of wood, because right here, you're wood starved, and I know you feel it. Here comes the lumber camp. While you're aging up as Delhi, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. The main one, you only need 4 villagers to continue villager production. So you only need 4 villagers on food to keep villager production up while you're aging up. The rest, grab and put on wood. Drop off your food, put them all on wood. As soon as your Tower of Victory is done, those 4 villagers can come onto food and boost you up. But what happens is if you put all those villagers on wood, and that's a beautiful second scholar, by the way. Nice timing. You did a great job here. You don't need this gold anymore, technically. Yeah, and you pull the 1. That's good. Generally, at this point, I like to pull all 3, but if you're going to make more scholars, this is fine. Because you want a lot of wood, and you didn't have enough wood coming into Feudal Age. So make sure you only have 4 on food while you're aging up to Feudal after you click up with the Tower of Victory. And put it all on wood, so this stable can come up 30 seconds faster. Quite a bit faster. And when that stable comes up, you can obviously get your first Ghazi. And I can see that you're following a build order here. I can see the outline of the build order, and it's looking pretty good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not quite looking, I would say, platinum, and a lot of it's because of these small things, like making sure you have enough wood when you age up, because a lot of plat players will hit you already at that 630 mark, and you barely have your Ghazis in queue. So this is an important thing to keep in mind. France seems to be trading already. Very interesting. I guess the Chamber of Commerce came out, and I don't know, man. Unless there's this seems like really hard to secure as the French player. All right. Okay, so first Ghazi's coming out. I am going to check out your scouting here. Yeah, this is fine. I would, even in team games, if your teammates aren't doing it, make sure your scout is poking and you see where all your opponents are. Like, you kind of can guess where they are, but you're not going to know what they're up to. So a big note on scouting here, make sure you find your enemies. You've probably got a lot of sheep. I can tell that you've done pretty well on sheep. Your scout's done a fairly good job, but you don't have a lot of vision of where you're going. You don't know where the gold is, so it's unclear where you need to put pressure. So make sure to scout each thing. You can't rely on your teammates for this. In team games, I always do it myself if my teammates don't. I'll send my scout across and go, hey, what is this? This I like. Matching up your scouts with your Ghazi is nice, because now you can see a little bit better. No, this is very good. I like this. I like this. Now you can poke around, and I like this. So make sure you're on the move, because these units aren't doing anything if they hang out. And I see you're looking for the resources. They got a lot of berries in the front of their base. That's going to be easy for them to secure. Here comes the first Sipahi. And let's go back to reveal all, just so we can get an idea what our opponent's up to and things like that. Building more military schools. Turn it all to Sipahi, although this one hasn't been turned to Sipahi yet. That's a mistake. Although, spears will be good against your Ghazi raiders. Let me take a look back at your base. Okay. Let me say a couple things here. Especially in a 3v3. Double Blacksmith feels good, because you get the upgrades really fast. Double Blacksmith always feels good. And this is what I was talking about. You can't trade if you can't secure this. Yeah, okay. Sorry, French player. Anyway, we're back here, and we've got 2 blacksmiths. That's fine. That's great. It's really expensive wood-wise, and it delays your army quite a bit. And against an Ottoman player who has already got a bunch of spears out, I would drop an archery range before their second blacksmith. So my usual build order is to go into a stable, blacksmith, and then my archery range. That way, I've got a nice combo, and my archers come out in time to counter spears. Because your cavalry are not going to be able to fight any of the Ottoman units right now because of this little mass. Ghazi are good, but they are just a horse unit, which means any spear interaction, they are going to lose. They'll be fine against the Sipahi and stuff like that. But I see you've gone for a fast castle here. There's a lot of sort of early fast castle tendencies. That's fine. I could see that. But you are floating a lot of wood as this happens. This could be wood for archers if you dropped an archery range. It could be more production. Like right now, you could be dropping the production you need for Castle Age. And especially against like an Ottoman player, maybe like 4 barracks and a transition into men-at-arms. Compound of the Defender's nice as we come up here. Especially on a team game. Oh, and there it is. Very nice. We have the archery ranges coming out. I like that. That'll be good if your opponents also go for Castle Age, but no opponents have been in Castle Age yet, so the archer mass should be fine, especially because of the spears. So this is smart. I just think the archery ranges are too late. And I just said that in another video for another replay review. If your opponent's making spears, counter the spears. That should be sort of the first reaction, is like, a lot of people say counter what you see, not what you think. So these archery ranges are great, but they're quite late, looking at the time. And we're floating a little bit. This is going to be a problem in terms of making enough units in action. But, like, as soon as this comes up, maybe the archers should start coming out, because you have the resources for archers. Immediately with the archer tech, that's very nice. Very nice. I see you did it the instant Castle Age coming up, so that feels good. Especially because you're going to need that archer upgrade now that you're castle. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Teching into all of your techs that you have access to. That's very nice. Get all your blacksmith techs. This is great. This is good. Want to make sure we're either getting the Ghazi tech or training out of this building, because again, we're floating quite a bit of resources here, and there's action on the map. The reason this Rus player has so many more units than you do, or than your teammate does, is this. There's a lot of float, and we're not getting enough units out. Scholar can start grabbing relics, and we haven't taken any sacred sites. This is not ideal. As Delhi, especially in the current meta, you want to get those sacred sites fast. Basically at the 730 mark, if you do it right, you should have sacreds, like, immediately. Other thing is, an easier way to control these, I'm sorry, I'm saying a lot here, but I really have a lot of notes that will be really helpful to you, because your build order looks good. Like, it feels right, and it's going in the right direction. But we need hotkeys on the military buildings so that we can keep going while we're putting on Ghazi pressure. Because again, we don't have enough units to fight this. And he's getting his units basically for free. He also not making enough. If you have good unit production, you're outproducing a player with 6, 7 production buildings. We see production coming in now. That's great. Gotta be careful of the overqueuing. With all these resources, build more production buildings. If you're making army, you could queue up, but these resources aren't being used until they start counting in. That's what that hotkey will be good for. If you create a control group, maybe I like to set it so that my F1 through 5 keys can be used as my control group 6 through 10. And so my archery range is always F2. Control F2, and then for the rest of the game, I just have to hit F2, and I can make archers or crossbows while I'm engaging on the map. Not looking too much at the fights here, because I'm a little more concerned with the macro. Macro is going to make a big difference for you for getting into platinum. If that's really your goal, just really focus on this macro, because you need more military buildings. Don't want to get housed here. This housing, as we're fighting and producing a lot of units, there's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot to keep track of. Beautiful, beautiful. I love to see the production coming out. I feel like against an enemy who's mostly making infantry and horsemen, you might not want to overcommit to the stables here. There's a lot of stables, and knights and Ghazi are really good. Like, don't get me wrong. But at this point in the game, it might be nice to have some spears, because you've got Rus making knights. You've got Ottomans. Where'd those Sipahi go? Making Sipahi, making mounted units. I'm not sure what Pink's making. Okay, you have England, so Horsemen will be really nice once England comes out of their base. But we haven't really seen this or had to deal with this yet, so we don't need a ton of Horsemen right now. I see, okay, trade opening up. I do like a little trade for Delhi, but the reason you're feeling gold starved and feeling like you need to go into trade here is because we don't have sacreds. These sacred sites change the way you can approach Delhi, because that golden cup, this one would be hard to take, but the rest of them, these two would be a little easier if you could wall them off with your archer units. And I like this this micro. Like, you haven't really lost too many Ghazi. You've been able to pick off some Sipahi. We haven't really gotten a lot of villager combat, but we've done a good job, it seems to me, of just putting on a little pressure and forcing the enemy to react, kind of throw them off their build a little bit. I like this. I don't mind this at all. But don't let it distract you from unit production. I just bring this up because this is a killer for a lot of you end up in this position when you're trying to get out of gold, right? Where you have so many resources and a good build order. Like I said, it's not a bad build order at all. Doing a good job of staying on top of villager idols and things like that. But the idle production is going to be a problem with this much, unless you're going Imperial, but you don't have enough gold for Imperial anyways. So there's a lot of food and wood here that can be used for unit production. Especially Ghazi. I mean, we're talking about food and wood. You've got all these stables that you just built, but we're not using them. So make sure once you add those new stables to the list, once we add these stables to the list, make sure we're hotkeying them and getting those Ghazi out, especially when we don't have enough gold for the age up. This food will come right back in. Especially since you're going into village fortresses and getting a ton of stone to build those keeps on the map. This will be nice. This will be really nice. You'll be able to boom. A little bit late perhaps, but not really too bad, all things considered. So I like this. I like this. It just feels like there isn't enough. Oh, this is a bug, by the way. Not a bug. It's a interaction. I just saw you pop a scholar with a relic into here. If you queue the scholar, shift queue it back, it'll go inside of the mosque without dropping off the relic. So he's holding the relic inside the mosque instead of the relic being in the mosque. So you're not actually getting the gold from this relic, unfortunately. I do like the relic grabs, though. This is nice. I really like this a lot. Just make sure when you're bringing the scholars back that you get the drop-off thing on the mouse. And then drop it off. Like, you have to right-click with the drop-off thing. It's a really funky interaction. It's not like a very clear interaction, but that's a Delhi thing. That's just a silly Delhi nuance. Because your scholar can go inside of the mosque, you have to do them separately, so you have to be careful. Now we have some unit production coming out. Feels a little late from when we built them, but I do like that we've got units coming out now. Again, macro's pretty good here. We've got some idle on the stone, but, you know, one thing at a time here. Macro is looking pretty good. We've got a lot of resources. We just need to make sure to use them. This is a big part of learning the game. Ah, here he goes. Looks like you kind of read that. Yeah, beautiful. Oh no, and then he picked it up because he got them both selected. Yep. Delhi Scholar Relic Management is such a pain. Like, I can see what you're dealing with here, but you're doing it right. Like, you're fixing it. This is great. This is awesome. I love this Ghazi mask that's coming out now too, by the way. I mean, the enemy has gone mostly into cavalry, and there aren't a lot of spears, so I may have missed this myself because you predicted it, but we've got Ghazi coming out to fight the Sipahi. Now, I think in a one-to-one fight currently, it's pretty close between these two. Looks like you have better defense upgrades, but they have better attack upgrades, so it's one-to-one. It's basically even between these two in this fight. So this is great. This is fine. You can keep up with them with speed. and just use your Ghazi with the extra, you know, armor-piercing attack if any heavy units come out. This is great. Ghazi Archer is going to take you a long way through the game. And again, your decisions look good. There's no armored units coming out from your Ottoman opponent. There's not a lot of armored units on the map, except for over here for Rus. So this should really be your, you know, your teammate's prerogative, but your teammate doesn't have enough production to fight that Rus army that's on the way. Nice. Nice. Oh, I love the relic grabbing. This is really clean. Again, perhaps a little late. Like, if you're doing this on a 1v1 ladder, this is coming in too late for, like, platinum level play. So to make that climb, part of this is just making sure these scholars do it earlier, do it when you hit castle age, but there's a lot of micro, so that's the kind of stuff you want to practice. And again, I think we're sitting on a lot of resources that aren't being used here. There's a lot of gold. There's more gold than you need for Imperial Age, but it looks like we're just get starved for food. What's going on here? Ah, yeah, classic. So, gotta be careful when we build these farms, because if we queue all of our food villagers to build farms, they will build all of the farms before you gather anything. And that will actually delay your food gathering. You're okay here because you've got quite a bit banked up. But in a game where you're using your resources and like getting really on top of your resource gathering, that's a long delay. That's quite a long delay. So make sure you kind of split up your groups of villagers when you build the farms, because of this, like, this mill's not getting built. So splitting up, you know, your villagers. This is a nitpick. This is very much a nitpick because I still do this all the time. I consider it a mistake when I do it, but I do this all the time. I like these walls too, by the way. This is nice. You've secured a large gold, gotten some wood, and the main thing is protected the trade here. And we got a nice trade set up. I would have liked your English teammate to build it farther in the corner, because the traders here are getting... What? Oh, here we go. 42 gold, but if you build, if your teammate builds it out here, that's like 100-something gold. I love Tower Elephants just as a unit. I think they're fun. Tower Elephant Archer is still good. This is still a good comp. Pretty much regardless of what you're fighting against, it's nice to have Tower Elephant. Yeah. Just reacting to Twitch chat here. Your opponent is getting your teammate is getting 3 gold from this. This is such a waste. This is terrible. This is so many traders, and they take so long to pay themselves back with just 3 gold drop off. All right, so we have a fight coming, and we've got your Imperial coming. A lot of gold float though, so you have Imperial Age, which is great, but what are we doing with it? What do we get from this? And your opponent doesn't have a ton of stuff, so this is, you know, we'll be able to defend this. But you'd be even farther ahead with these resources getting used. Even farther ahead with these resources getting used. I like these barracks now. Coming out, we can get some men-at-arms, Delhi men-at-arms, very fun to use, especially once you get that speed upgrade out of the blacksmith. Which reminds me, I need to check on upgrades because I can't see all the upgrades here, but I think you've done a pretty good job on those. This is a problem for your team. Nobody on your team has these kind of numbers, and Rus has been untouched. This English player feels new. This is like really new. Oh, and they're getting doubled. Rest in peace. There's not a whole lot you could do about this. Unfortunately, you know, can't rely on our teammates. I like the brave villagers fighting back, but I mean, this is already game over for the red player. And, yeah, this is rough for you. I do like this. I mean, against one player, this sort of counter would work, right? Against the Sipahi or the Knights here, this works. But because it's two of them, it's just, I mean, your teammate has thrown really poorly here, right? Like, that's unfortunate. But this is nice. I like the Ghazi, and you're being smart. You're not over engaging into any of this, the archers or anything. And you have a big mass. You have the best mass on your team, actually. And okay, targeting down the mangoes, that's nice. And you've got the archers now with the arrow elephant. It's not going to be enough for both of these guys, and that's just fighting a 1v2 in general. That's going to be a problem. But you're doing a good job here. I like this fight. And just, again, imagine how much more efficient this fight could be with better production on the back of this. Well fought, though. I gotta say, like, gotta keep your units alive. Like, this is not enough left. You gotta pull out of here earlier, especially with the two of them. But I think if you had bought yourself some time, pulled back, and joined your French teammate, you guys could have made a pretty good counter push here. And you would have been in a situation where the two English players who aren't really doing anything are not in this fight, will just, like, watch their teammate die to this. So make sure to keep your units alive. That's like micro nitpick stuff. That's stuff that comes with more platinum games anyway. You want to keep your units alive as much as you can. Even if you like if you see yourself losing this fight, and look, as the French player comes in, this is nice. This is a great counterplay. If this English player didn't have so much, I'd say your team was in, like, actually a great spot. You've killed two armies. They didn't retreat at all either. So you've gotten great value out of this, all things considered. And this is a good fight. That being said, with the death of Red, I think we have like 5 villagers for Red. With the death of Red, it's going to be hard. Right now it's a bit of a 3v2. And so there's, you know, that to consider. But let's take a look back at the macro. Your base is looking good. I like it. I prefer production more on the front and the mosques more on the back in terms of base building. But, like, you've got a lot of production out. You've got blacksmiths. We're imp now, so make sure you enter these. I forget this too often. Immediately grab your blacksmiths and enter your upgrades. You did get the upgrades on the university, and you've got a lot of wood. Here's the big thing. Because of Delhi's research rate, and you've got at about 4 minutes, which is good. More scholars needed, of course. You need about 20 scholars to have, like, a good timing on these. Maybe 15 if you have an early-ish imp. 3 universities. You have, so you went up with the Hisar Academy, 2 more universities. You want to build 3 madrasas total, so that you can get more of the tech faster, especially with all this wood you're sitting on. Get those 3 madrasas, get as much tech as you can, as fast as you can, and you can also put scholars in them. And that'll increase the speed of all your other techs, etc., etc. It all kind of, you know, escalates from there. And you got your extra scholars that you get when you drop this into the building, which is nice. And these archery ranges and siege workshops coming up. The siege tech coming in as well, very nice. Sometimes I do like roller shutter triggers. The priority of these is kind of up in the air, you know. These are long. Look at that. 12 minutes for roller shutter triggers. Oh my gosh. And yeah, this is why we got to make sure we're getting scholars in our mosques and our madrasas. Like I said, about 15 to 20. Because that'll help your imperial techs, especially your, you know, your siege workshop imperial techs, come through a lot faster. And these techs as well, the madrasa techs. 4 minutes is a long time. To get every single tech with one of these madrasas, we're sitting at 12, 15 minutes of game time. And the game's going to be over before then. So 3 madrasas, really key, as is a good scholar count in the late game. And we've got a pretty fast imp here for Delhi. You've been pretty safe, so I don't hate this Imperial Age. I think it's good. I just gotta we just have to make sure that we've got enough madrasas to get the value for them. I make this mistake sometimes, and I often make mistakes regarding this, but this is important. This is a very important thing to stay on top of. Got military production now. Still, I'm not seeing enough production. I'm seeing the upgrades. That's great. Where are the units? We're at 142 out of... We don't even have all the max houses. We want to max out We're sitting in Imperial Age. We get free techs. Let's max out now. Make as many. You've got eco. You can make knights. You can make men-at-arms. You can make crossbows. You can make handgunners. I love a good handgunner Ghazi comp here at the end of the game. We've got resources for unit production, and now we see it coming through. Beautiful. Handgunners, all that kind of stuff. But we could have seen this 3 minutes earlier. Just to look at it in terms of time, and not to stress about the time, but just say, like, getting on top of these transitions is really important. Because this transition is hard as Delhi. It's not easy. Especially with so many techs to get in. You gotta be quick, gotta be on top of it. But the first thought is, okay, once my tech is in, let me get those units out so that I can pay off with the tech. Because we're still on veterans. We've got veteran archers, we've got normal knights, we've got stuff like that. And we're gonna engage an enemy with Streltsy. We're gonna engage an enemy with their own tech likely coming through. Men-at-arms tech before the knight tech. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of that for your opponent. He's got way more knights than men-at-arms. Okay, he has a few men-at-arms, but how many more men-at-arms is he gonna make? I'm not sure. Anyway, looking back at Superkaku here. Here's your... I like that the Elite Ghazi tech's in. I love the Elite Ghazi, by the way. It looks so cool. When you're riding around looking for something, you're not going to find a whole lot at this stage of the game unless you get... Well, here's a nice push. This is what you're looking for. Your enemy doesn't have walls. Very nice. Very nice. I do like that. We gotta make sure there's production on the back of this. And I see elephants coming through now, and we're maxed out. So that's good. When we're maxed out, we gotta use the units. We gotta get out on the map. We gotta make sure we're attacking. Because now that we're maxed out, especially as Delhi, we've got our upgrades coming through no matter what. We don't have to, like, save eco for our upgrades because it's free. So what do? We move out. We start using these elite units. And yeah, I see you moving out now. Very nice. Gotta break through this wall. Gotta force this Ottoman player to do something different. Ottoman player now going to be an Imperial. Now going to be getting great bombards, Janissaries. It's not going to be easy to fight into this. And he got the Elite Janissary upgrade first, which is probably the best call. Nice little fight for your French teammate over here. French teammate still sitting on feudal... yeah. These are still early Royal Knights. This goes for everyone in chat. Chivalry and veterancy, super important if you're playing France. Okay, looks like you're coming to help out your teammate. I like this. The elephants are nice. I do have to say, in team games, elephants can be a little slow sometimes. Lately, I've been preferring to go into more of a knight comp. But elephants with the upgrades against armored units, against Streltsy, are not a bad choice. This is not a bad army comp for this fight. The knights are going to struggle with both the Streltsy and with the Janissaries of your opponent, but this is looking good. Yeah, there's some army comp stuff I'd rather see here, but this is not a bad fight. Again, the armored units getting shredded by the Streltsy as we kind of anticipated. And the Streltsy can kite. Yeah, and they immediately start kiting. This is nice, though, with your cavalry able to get on the Streltsy. They're going to lose this. More Streltsy on the back. This will be rough for your armored elephants, but for the rest of your army, should be pretty okay. Ah, double mango. Nice pull. Got to get out of that. Good play. And their handgunners come in. You can clear this. Very nice. Problem is this. Ottomans in England are building this mass. They've got elite upgrades coming through, and this Ottoman army, this is the death ball. This is the start of it, at least. More bombards on the way, but the 6 mangonels with all these Janissaries, or 5 mangonels rather. No, 6. It is 6. Okay. 6 mangonels coming towards your base, and this is where it's GG, right? You guys are fighting one opponent here. You've helped your English teammate survive. But here comes the, the fist, as it were, because these guys have been sitting back and not doing a whole lot. A big part of this is putting pressure on. I think you could have pressured your opponent a bit more, because Roos wasn't really pushing into this side too much. And you did a good job of clearing the Roos opponent, but now you've taken a lot of losses. France has taken a lot of losses. And England has been untouched this whole game. This is where that unit production comes in, and not even at this point, but earlier in the game. Because you don't want to get stuck in a late game fight against England and Ottoman. It's not going to go your way with Delhi, unfortunately. You'll get your upgrades, you'll get your stuff, but ultimately, this is what happens, right? So we need to make sure to get production earlier in this game. And we're getting it back up now, which is nice. But look at this. Make sure you have units queued up for, if you're at maxed out, just enough units queued up so that if you lose your units, you immediately create new ones. We do not have enough production here. I'd like to see some siege, but we've been sitting on a 12-minute long upgrade. So we do have Springalds coming in now, but Springalds are a little too late for this mass. Just gonna be too much. He'd never upgraded his spearmen. All right. It's not too bad, but yeah, the big thing is we're fighting a fight here now, and you're under attack. Your units need to be coming back, all of them. Yeah, I think earlier unit production would have helped you a lot in this game. The only way to beat a good Ottoman player, an Ottoman player who just wants to get Imperial and do this is all Ottoman wants to do, right? You need to stop this. And to stop this, you don't like fight it in the late game. You need to go early, especially against Ottomans. And so we've seen this a couple times now on my channel. And the big thing is a lot of Ottoman players, they just want to get to this. They are not very good at the rest of the game. Like, I don't mean to be rude to them, but he didn't have a ton of stuff. If we had gotten that nice early archery range, a lot of units, we could have put way more pressure. Instead of putting pressure on these other players, we could put tons of pressure on the Ottoman player, the guy across from you. And you know what? If your teammates don't follow through on the other side, that's not your fault if you can kill your opponent, right? It's not really your fault. There's things you can do to really put the pressure on the opposing team to defend the Ottoman player instead of attack your teammates. So a few big things here, and one of the biggest ones is just self-sufficiency with your army. Make sure you have a ton of production. And if you're down like this, look at all these resources. We could have made so many knights with this. We could have made 140 knights with this. 140 hand cannoneers. Like I said, I didn't really hate your micro here. I mean your macro here. Your macro felt good. Like, it felt like you were going the right direction, but the big part of the macro that needs to be cleaned up is this unit production. Now that we're under attack, our units are coming out. This is already too late. They've destroyed your TC, they're taking out your keep, and they've got the bombard. We need, like, production to be coming up back here with all this wood, tons of units getting pumped out, because you've got a ton of resources. They're just not being used. And this is a big part about getting out of gold, is make sure we're not floating. Floating resources, every gold player I've watched floats a lot of resources. And finding that balance between the float and like having a bank is something that needs to be figured out to be able to play this match. And like, really it comes down to production. I think you need to hotkey your production to get better at this game. Your micro looked pretty good. I liked watching your cavalry run around, and things are looking like you're going in the right direction. You're making pretty good decisions. But you need to be able to get in there, put pressure on with enough units. You need to have more units than your opponent, especially as Delhi, early on. Delay that castle age. Honestly, with Delhi, especially against like Ottomans and things like that, you can push your castle age back. Especially if it means getting units out. So that's most of my notes about this game. I think you're going in a great direction. Your base looked good. It's a great start. Maybe more production on the front and more of the sort of like mosques and blacksmiths on the back. But that's a bit of a nitpick because you had a pretty good base and you had some good production. Just got to make sure that it all comes out. Yeah. All right, and I'm going to end it there, chat, with this one, and there'll be more in the near future. YouTube, if you're watching, like and subscribe. Let me know if there's any games you want to see that you've done, and come to me with them. We'll do more videos. I'm having a blast doing these replay reviews. And let me know how I can help. What are you working on? What do you need help with? What do you think you need help with? And maybe I can help you find things that you didn't realize you needed help with. All right, ending it there. I hope you have a good one. Make sure to produce units. That's all I gotta say. And this is gonna go for everybody from here on. Make units. That's how I'm gonna end these videos. All right, I will talk to you all later. Bye.